So as you all know, Trump's favorite president is Javier Milei in Argentina. Now, this guy, in many ways, he's a byproduct of Trump. He's this, like, kooky dude who went around wearing a superhero outfit. He's clearly got some mental health issues, but he's an extremist. He's an anarcho-capitalist, right? And so he won the election in Argentina, which is dark, right? But what I've always found amazing is, and the MAGA base does this all the time, they conflate Trumpism with libertarianism. So there was an original version of Trumpism in 2016, which was more paleoconservative. Now, paleoconservative is basically like the version of conservatism that is not libertarian. Like, the idea of paleoconservatism is we're conservative on social issues, but on economic issues, we're actually more protectionist when it comes to trade. We want to regulate the marketplace because we're nationalists. We believe in doing right by the people of the country, not market fundamentalism, right? So that was like the original iteration of Trumpism in 2016. Obviously, that was a fraud because it didn't come to fruition, and Trump himself is much more on the libertarian side of the equation, sell out to big business, etc., tax cuts for the rich, deregulation. But Milei comes around, and he never even pretended for a second that he was like a paleoconservative or he was that original version of Trumpism. He was always hardcore Ayn Rand type anarcho-capitalist, right? But the thing is, guys, and this is what MAGA needs to understand, is the original Trumpism was appealing to people because it wasn't libertarianism, right? The original version of MAGA and Trumpism was appealing because he would say stuff like, Hillary outsourced all your jobs with NAFTA. I don't want to outsource your jobs. I want to protect your jobs, right? So there was that element of like a dash of left-wing economic philosophy, which made Trump way more appealing than the average Republican. He would say things like, I'm not going to cut your Social Security. I'm not going to cut your Medicare, right? That was like the secret sauce, which made him so successful in 2016. Well, libertarians, the more you let them talk about what their actual positions are, the more everybody cringes and turns away in disgust. Because here's what's at the actual core of anarcho-capitalist libertarian philosophy. Look at this. Argentina's far-right libertarian president, Javier Milei, is trying to push through anti-worker labor reform that will increase the workday to 12 hours with no overtime. Let me repeat that. Increase the workday to 12 hours with no overtime. It will also allow companies to pay workers partially with tickets, not real money, that can only be used at supermarkets or specific designated businesses. The anti-worker reform is euphemistically called the Law on Promotion of Investment and Employment. Think about how insane this is. By the way, you want to put this up for a direct vote? Please. When you actually break down libertarianism into its key parts, when it comes to economic issues, nobody likes libertarian ideas except the capitalists, except the robber barons. Who wants to live in a system where there's no minimum wage protections? That's a libertarian idea. Who wants to live in a system where we don't ban child labor? That's a libertarian idea. Who wants to live in a system where there's no regulations to stop pollution, to stop worker abuses? This is libertarianism, right? And so you let this guy run wild and the real ideas come out. This is a guy who pretended like he was all in favor of freedom. The second there was a union strike against him, he said, send in the cops, crack some skulls. Did I say I was in favor of freedom and free speech and freedom to protest? Wrong. Lock these people up. This is who Javier Milei is. So now he wants to make the workday 12 hours with no overtime and make it so people don't get paid in money in many instances. I mean, this is a regression, bro. We're going back to Gilded Age, open robber baron type stuff. This is your guy, MAGA? This is what I would say to the Trump supporters. This is your guy? This is your guy. Weren't all you guys just saying we're against the H-1B program in the U.S. because it takes away good jobs from American workers? Isn't that what you were saying? Doesn't that imply you have some standards around what a good job is? Is this how you would like to see our laws here? 12-hour workdays, no overtime pay. I'm telling you, you let these guys run wild, they'll do exactly what capital wants. By the way, how thoroughly has this guy destroyed Argentina? Argentina records sharp rise in poverty. More than half of Argentina's 46 million people are now living in poverty. The exact number is 53% now. This article is from a little while ago, but I checked and the number is still the same. It's 53%. And then forget it. The extreme poverty number is devastating too. Now, what these guys will do is they'll say, but inflation has come down. Inflation is still bad, number one. Number two, kind of the whole point of a failed system is having more than half of your people living in poverty. If you're getting an increase in that number, you're doing something wrong. Because if at the top of your list isn't the well-being of my people, then what the fuck are you doing in government? Go pick up Parcheesi, bitch. Like, what are you doing? What a colossal failure. Look at this idea, bro. Look at this idea. By the way, let me just tell you, we're seeing a lot of similar stuff in red states in this country. They're rolling back child labor laws. We've seen it. They're rolling back child labor laws. They are passing laws in red states where they say, you're not allowed to raise the minimum wage if you're like a city or a town and you want to raise your minimum wage. You can't do that. We're going to ban you from doing mandatory heat breaks for people working in the summer in extreme heat. This is what the red states do. The House Republicans are trying to ban blue states from doing free school breakfast and lunch for kids. You think they wouldn't consider increasing the work week here? We just saw a MAGA judge struck down overtime pay for 8 million workers. They're against overtime pay. This is actually what you voted for. It's stuff like this. So unless you're, one of the 3 cheerleaders in the country for child labor, get ready. The only people cheering child labor are the capitalists who exploit people and make billions of dollars because they have child labor. But if you're not a capitalist exploiting workers for higher profit margins, you're about to see this is not going to go as you think it's going to go. This is not going to go as you think it's going to go. So here we go. 12-hour workday. This is what these people really believe in. This is what you need to understand. Is that the idea of a paleo-conservative or a populist MAGA, it was a farce. It's always been a farce. Functionally, what ends up happening is cater to the robber barons. And that's Javier's entire ideology. That's what anarcho-capitalism is, right? It's actually worse than that because it's anarcho-capitalism on the one hand for regular people, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, etc. But it's endless corporate welfare and subsidies for the wealthy and the robber barons and the people who are politically connected, right? Think of Elon Musk, David Balsacks, the tech bro assholes. They'll be able to loot the treasury. The crypto assholes are going to get bailed out come hell or high water, right? They got their plan ready to go. They're going to privatize the profits and socialize the losses. But you're going to be left holding the bag. And you're going to be left with the 12-hour workdays with no overtime. Trump's favorite president, Elon's favorite president, absolutely destroyed the government, slashed it to the bone, poverty massively increased. Now he wants 12-hour workdays. And for people to get paid in fucking monopoly money half the time. Does that sound good? Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.